Hello and welcome. I'm Darren, and we are back with another side-by-side comparison, whatever you want to call it, video. I'm going to give a sniff warning. I obviously still do have a cold. I apologise. I can't help it. And yeah, basically this time we are going to have a look at something that probably has a little bit more kind of visual, more definition, smaller details. There's a lot more to take in, obviously, than just what we were looking at in Cyberpunk. This will probably give a better comparison, and there is something interesting in this. And it almost fooled me for a minute, and this is why I think I might have said it in the last video, that trying to do comparisons in a game with a day and night cycle is an absolute nightmare. And it almost fooled me. And I actually thought, holy shit, I've got this wrong. I didn't get it wrong. I just got caught out by the day and night cycle, and we will see that. And it is quite big. And it could easily fool you into some kind of crazy distance or difference that doesn't exist. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to jump into all of this content which I've been making, busy, and we're going to check out the first Descendant. So broken. What's broken? Oh, that's what I just uploaded. So first Descendant, we're going to check out native. As you can see, RTX up here. So this is on the RTX 4080, which is, as I've said before, you can kind of see here. That's kind of the normal. You can see it kind of in Cyberpunk. I think it's probably obviously when it's path tracing. Or Cyberpunk just hits the GPU really hard. I always see the most power get drawn by that GPU. I did realise I screwed up. And the reason I screwed up is I was running sharpness at 3 on the NVIDIA GPU, and I was running sharpness at 4 on the AMD GPU. I didn't realise, and I wasn't about to go back and make all the content. It's kind of tough shit. I don't think you're really going to notice a lot of difference by the time it goes to YouTube anyway. But when I did the when I looked back at my side-by-side comparisons, it did appear, looking at them side by side, I did think, oh, actually the AMD GPU does look a little bit sharper. And in one of these videos I made, I did actually see that I had the sharpness set to 4, so I went back, I looked at my NVIDIA GPU, I seen that the sharpness was set to 3, so I then changed it because I really didn't want to swap back all my gear back over to the AMD GPU and redo everything. Yeah, it is what it is. So, obviously what we're looking at is native on the NVIDIA GPU. You can kind of see, we go back, it's not bad. I think there's a tiny little bit of aliasing there. And other than that, the actual details themselves, you can see these lines. It's probably not the best scene, but there's a lot of kind of little details that we're going to look at towards the end of this video when we put them side by side. Like I said, it might just be a case of this character looks a little bit blurry because the sharpness is down 1, so it's at 3 on the RTX, and it's not great, but I've put too much time into trying to do this comparison, and I really didn't want to do it again. So as you can see, native, it looks alright in this game. Performance is kind of not brilliant. We are obviously at 4K native, and then if we swap over to, oh yeah, this is probably a place where you can really tell. Interesting, when the upscalers later on, when they start to fall apart. I'm not sure if I actually did that on the AMD one. I might have. So this is now on the AMD GPU. Obviously, again, we're at native. So effectively, you're only really seeing the same things. Obviously, this probably does look a little bit sharper. It's only really that. The rest of everything looks about right. Like I said, we do get a side-by-side later, so we can pixel peep and we can check colors. So, I mean, to be fair, there's not a lot of difference. It still does look a little bit blurry, even with this one having the sharpness turned up to 4. There's not a huge deal to look at in this, to be honest. So we won't hang around long. In fact, there's not a huge amount to see. There's not a lot of stuff going on. You can kind of see, obviously, there's a little bit of flicker in there. The rest of the scene looks okay. And then when we go to here, you can see there's not really a lot going on. There's no real fine details. Everything just kind of looks relatively samey. All the rest of it, like I said, we are going to do a side-by-side, so we can pixel peep a side-by-side in a bit. So we'll come out of that one, and then we will go to quality. So we were at native, we're now going to quality. As you can see, we are obviously here on the RTX GPU. And now we've got all of this isn't no longer flickering. So it's kind of a step up in direction, if you know what I mean, which is kind of what I've said a lot of the times, that DLSS at quality in a lot of games looks better than native, because it fixes a lot of issues with bad anti-aliasing. So you can see that part there that was aliasing before, which was probably the only part, is no longer aliasing. Obviously I don't do movement in this. We will do a bit of that later on. This is obviously just a quick look. You can see, like, obviously these characters down here, everything's fine. These characters down here, everything's fine. We're not always going to have stuff loading in all of these videos, but it doesn't really matter. We'll go to this scene here. You can now see that everything is completely stable here. There's no aliasing going on. You can see even with this turned down to 3 on the sharpness, I can't remember what the scale goes. I think the scale goes 1 to 10, and this is at 3. So it's pretty clean looking. Like I said, on the AMD GPU it was at 4. I don't think there was a huge amount of difference in it, but I did notice it when I put them side by side. So again, there's nothing going on in this scene anywhere where anything's doing any crazy weird flickering or anything like that. We'll move to, and obviously this is the menu screen. It's all kind of whatever it is. It does kind of look a little bit blurry sometimes in the menu screen. It's not bad, it's fine. You can tell in there when things start to fall apart quite drastically. So now we are on AMD. This is obviously now on the 7900 XTX. We're now at quality, and everything's the same. We're using basically the ultra preset. Motion blur is off. And this one is kind of got a little bit worse than native. So it does look like it's maybe sharpened the image by the FSR. And you kind of can see now that you're starting to get aliasing here. Not bad. Probably like between that and native, it's not the end of the world. It does kind of do some strange thing where you see the screen kind of flicker every now and then, which is a bit random. There's probably a little bit of noise down in these areas now, bit of noise there, nothing crazy. In normal time gameplay, you're probably not going to really notice that much, but this isn't really an area that shows up too much. I just wanted to go somewhere on the map. Yeah, you can kind of see it there where it kind of, I think it might have just been when it had a big stutter. So it might have been people loading into the game. You kind of see it a few times where like that, where it kind of resolves the image, which is kind of a bit weird. But yeah, it kind of looks like it's sharpened. Let's have a look. Yeah. But the problem is I am running, like I said, this is one less sharpened, so it's not really a fair comparison. We get a better comparison later when I actually realise. So this is obviously FSR. You can kind of see it's done it there again, which is a bit weird. where the image flickers and it kind of, there, resolves it. So you can see now that there's quite a bit of noise in this area, which is probably a little bit worse than native, and it has some weird thing going on. I don't know what it is. Kind of doing something a little bit. I'm not actually sure what level of. It's definitely FSR 3. I don't know if it's 3.1 or whatever FSR is at this moment in time. I did have a quick Google before, and I Googled FSR 3.1, and it appears that that's just in, well, whenever this article was written that was saying what games, you kind of see it do it there again. It seems to be actually, it does a big stutter at the same time. It seems to be like, there, doing like some kind of, same time as that happens. You can kind of see his face is starting to break up a little bit, but it's kind of done something where it's kind of sharpened all of this detail, and it's doing a weird resolve thing. But anyway, it is what it is. You could play like this if you wanted to. Like I said, I Googled what was FSR 3.1 in before, and it seems as if it's just, as I kind of always assumed in like the PlayStation games. So that's quality upscale. I think I did, yeah. So I did a balanced one. So the video, obviously, DLSS at balanced, still using the Ultra. I'm not using any ray tracing or anything like that. And yeah, everything's still stable. It's fine. It's all good. Nothing really going on. Probably not much point in staring at it for too long. This video will just drag out longer than it needs to be. There is more to look at, obviously. We go to, saying that, some people just chimed in, so we'll just check that nothing's going on weird with them. No, everything's fine. Sometimes when they do like some sort of magic thing, it kind of looks like they leave a ghosting trail, but they actually do that. Like if you're running around with Bunny, you'll see like a huge trail coming behind you and that sort of stuff. So that's kind of normal. You can see the characters out there. They're all detailed. Everything's fine. These guys down here are walking along. They're not leaving any kind of weird trails, or there's no ghosting behind them or anything crazy. Move to this view. Like I said, this is obviously DLSS at balanced. Everything's kind of pretty clean. Here, everything's fine. There's no aliasing going on. It's all good. Everything in the scene's fine. Move to here. You can see his face is fine. Everything's holding up. No problem at all. Everything's clean. There's no aliasing. These things still kind of look like they did in the last couple of videos, if you took any notice. Yeah. So we'll move to... we'll go to the menu. So yeah, you can kind of see there. And this is always a good place. You can kind of see it starting to alias a little bit around his nose and there is some details, like a hologram thing that comes down over his mouth. So it's not bad. It starts to kind of go a little bit fuzzy. And I'm not going to say it looks fuzzy, but it doesn't look maybe as clean as what it did at DLSS quality, but at the same time it doesn't look bad, and at the end of the day it's only a menu. So it's not the end of the world. So we'll go to, obviously, now we're on the 7900 XCX. We're at AMD, obviously, as you can see, AMD. I don't know why they didn't put FSR and DLSS or whatever, but anyway, AMD balanced. Showing you that we're still on the Ultra preset, and obviously motion blur is off. And to be fair, it's still doing the weird thing, where every time it does this stutter, it kind of does whatever's going on. It's just doing it in the same places, maybe a little bit worse. So aliasing around here, aliasing around here, aliasing around here. Pretty kind of, yeah, normal. Typical of kind of just those same areas, maybe getting a bit worse. These guys are running in, no problem there. They're fine. like I said, this isn't a huge area. We will get to a video which shows off a lot more fine detail, and it probably does obviously become a little bit more obvious where there's issues. I don't think there's any point staying on this view any longer. Go to this view, you can see it's all got quite noisy around here. It's getting a bit noisy around there. It's just a case of the same thing's getting a little bit worse. His face is starting to get quite bad. You can kind of see the finer details now in his armor kind of going a little bit funny. I don't know if you'll see that by the time this goes to YouTube, but I can see it. I'm pointing it out. It is pixel peeping to a degree. I am being fussy, but I'm pointing out what I see. So yeah, that's kind of that. And then if we go to here, there's nothing going on in any of this area. That stuff kind of still looks pretty much the same. It does do a little bit of a weird, even at native, like almost a bit of a ghosty looking thing, but it's nothing bad. You can see his face is going a bit crazy. And do I go into the menu? Yeah, I do go into them. So you can see now, obviously that's getting quite bad. Funny enough, it's not alien. Well, or will it? No. It keeps doing this stutter thing where it's trying to resolve the image. I don't know what that's about. I don't think it used to do that. So, I don't know. I did play it on this game. Yeah, you should see it. It's just on it there. It might just be it's not happy about being recorded. I am recording. It is kind of quite a tough capture, so I wouldn't pay too much attention to the big stutter. That's not the issue. We're kind of just looking at the image now, so you can see it's quite noisy there. And it's starting to do kind of quite a bit around his armor. It's a bit of ghosting going on. Nothing crazy. It is what it is. So obviously this is balanced. We'll quick go to performance. This is going to end up, yeah, I'll try and keep it under half an hour, hopefully. So back in, still the same thing, ultra preset. Oh, did I just screw up? Right, forget that. We're not on the RTX. Damn. Ignore the RTX. We are definitely on the 7900 XTX. I apologise. I had so many videos that I was trying to get through. I've clearly screwed up there and put them in the wrong order, but it's fine as long as hopefully the next one's obvious. So same thing. It's just got a bit worse. So at performance now, you can see that is kind of breaking up a lot. It's starting to do a bit more around here. It's gone quite blurry on the character model. Some of this stuff looks like it's trying to kind of over sharpen a bit, and it's kind of looking a little bit weird. It's hard to see. Some players just decided to spawn in, but looking through that, you can't really tell what's going on there. There's no point staring at that for too long. We'll move to this view. You can see that's just got a bit worse. It's just the same stuff that's just getting a little bit worse. The character model looks quite blurry now. Obviously, the actual game is one sharpened more on the AMD GPU, and it's starting to look a little bit, actually, the character model now starting to look quite blurry at this level. And then we'll go to that area, and you can see his face is kind of breaking up a bit more. The details on his armor, it's just all getting kind of a little bit, yeah, it's getting all a little bit jaggedy and all a little bit starting to look a little bit of a lower resolution. And this stuff's almost like it's trying to over sharpen a little bit to make up for it. So a bit weird how it's doing that. It's going sharper in the distance and kind of a bit blurrier at close up, which is kind of a little bit strange, but it is what it is. And then, yeah, you can see obviously in this menu now, it's kind of not looking particularly great. All of this stuff is going all a bit funny. It is what it is. Oh, I think, yeah, okay. So once I finished that, I did have a little move around just to see. So we'll let that run. I went down to obviously the last one, and then I had a bit of move around just to see how it held up. And as you can see, it doesn't hold up very well on movement. Yeah, you probably wouldn't want to play with this. It is obviously at performance, so it's not particularly. I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't have thought that you'd really even want to play at performance with DLSS, but surprisingly, DLSS at performance actually looks alright. I was quite surprised. But you can see there, it's kind of, all of this is just going kind of on movement, all a little bit nasty. There's obviously bad aliasing, and there's a lot of kind of flickering and stuff like that. Some people wouldn't mind if you want to play like that. I have absolutely no problem with that. Obviously, I'm just doing a kind of graphical analysis to a degree. So now we're on the NVIDIA, even though we've called it Radeon. Obviously, if we watched till this point, we realise that this is the NVIDIA GPU, which is strangely running now at 250. Well, I assume I'm starting to actually probably push a bit of a bottleneck on it, because we're only actually running 260 watts now, which is very low. Now you can see, which is kind of quite interesting, that even though we're running one less sharpness, the character model looks sharper now than the AMD GPU, which is technically sharp. The sharpness is raised in the display settings. So, yeah, this is actually holding up really well. I can't remember what it is. I think these start to break up a little bit on movement. We do move at the end of it, so you can see it, but the actual character model still is a bit softer. I think all you'd have to do here is just go in the menu and crank it up to 4. Like I said, this is at 3. So if you put it up to 4, it would probably look alright. Or to be fair, if you like this kind of softer look, these are fine. There's no kind of smearing or nothing's going on with those characters, which is pretty good. All of these lines are fine. Everything's pretty stable. So this is holding up surprisingly better than what I thought it would. I was actually pretty impressed. You can see here, it's fine. There's a little bit now starting to, you can just see it. Well, I can see it. If it comes up on YouTube, I don't know. There's some fine lines there that are just starting to wobble a little bit. Nothing crazy. They probably do a bit more on movement. We'll have a little, I believe I have a little run around at the end of this, so you'll see that anyway. But the actual character himself is holding up really well, which is very surprising. I should have actually done this next to native, because 1080p versus 4K native, or 1080p upscale to 4K versus native 4K, this and this, it might actually look better. I've got a feeling there was probably more movement in this at native with no DLSS. That would be a shocker. I'm actually going to do that. Yeah, fine. You can see his, to be fair, hopefully it'll turn. His face thing is literally starting to flicker a little bit there. The rest of it, I think the gun looked maybe a little bit soft then when he moved. Maybe something going on. Like if I zoomed in, I reckon there's a little bit where it's maybe as I'm moving, just starting to break up a little bit. But I mean, that really is pixel, like that's zoom in to see type stuff. In the menu, you can kind of tell he looks a bit softer. All of this stuff's all still fine. Little bit of aliasing around like the nose. I think it still did that at quality, or it definitely did it at balanced. The mouth stuff probably doesn't look that bad. And then I should have a little run around at the end of this. We'll have a look what it looks like on movement. And then we'll quick go to, I say quick, I wanted to keep this below half an hour, but I don't think I'm going to do it. So I do apologize for people. So yes, you can see these lines here on movement when you zoom in there, all right? But they were just, I think I go back and show it because I wasn't there for a particularly long time. But this is actually holding up incredibly well for DLSS at performance. Very impressive. Not perfect, but damn good. Obviously, whether this comes across on YouTube or not, I don't know. I don't know till I upload it. That's the unfortunate thing. I have to look back, once I've uploaded. So I think I go back just to see probably the one issue that I could see, which was like I said, these lines here, which go a little bit wobbly on movement. So we will go to, I believe it's this. This is, so RTX, at least we've got this one right. So this is in the main hub. This is going to take quite a while, unfortunately. Well, it's probably going to take 5 minutes on each one. So, and like I said, annoyingly, I didn't realize that my sharpness was wrong. Now, this is what I thought was crazy. So we'll do a side-by-side in that area where we were before. And you'll see, because in this instance, we are going to see a drastic change in the colors on the NVIDIA GPU versus the AMD GPU. There is a reason why. Like I said, I'm a little bit annoyed that I didn't have the sharpness the exact same. So if you just come to here, I didn't realize until I'd finished the recordings that in the display settings on the game, I had the AMD on 4 sharpness and I had the NVIDIA on 3 sharpness. So yes, no upscale. You can see there's a bit of aliasing along this part here. There's some aliasing down. Shit. There's some aliasing down there. There's a bit of something going on up there. You can probably see a little bit here and there, but it's not that bad. It's fine. We move to DLAA, which is, to me, DLAA is the absolute gold standard of native, if you want to call it native. It's way better from what I've seen than any type of TAA or anything like that. It is the absolute banger of perfection. So you can see now that there's just no anything. It is absolutely pristine, crisp, clean. Everything is as good as can possibly be. And see, this is what I find funny. People moan about colors. I've not messed with any colors on this game. I mean, is that not red? Is that not yellow? Is that not orange? Crazy. I don't know why people go on so much about having to change colors. Did I just get lucky that my GPU just colors, like, I don't know, maybe some people wouldn't be happy with these colors, but I think that they look absolutely like for a non-HDR source, the blacks are pretty black, the whites are pretty white, the red's pretty damn red. So did we just go to quality? Yes. So we're now at DLSS quality, and you wouldn't know unless you had an image running right next to you. Like I said, DLAA is to me the gold standard, and DLSS at quality, I didn't really see much difference. You'd be crazy to not just take the extra performance and just run DLSS quality, because I don't know what difference you believe. Maybe it's like a mental thing, I don't know, but all of these lines still perfect. All of these power lines, which are absolutely super fine, perfect. All up here, there's nothing going on up here. Everything, all of these little lines here that are super fine. Stuff down here, which is really, really fine detail. Perfect. Go to balanced. I mean, to be fair, again, you probably just take the performance. Balanced. What have we got? These are normally the place where it starts to break up, because at native these are shimmering, and they're still not shimmering at native at balanced. I don't think those really are. I can't see anything down there. I can't really see anything there. I can't see anything down there. I can't really see anything there. I mean, there might be a difference if you're playing it side by side. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what you'd really think you're missing. I mean, to be fair, I don't normally. I've always just played at DLSS quality, but I think I've been a little bit, maybe, I don't know. I think I've been a little bit naive, to be honest. So then we'll go to performance. You can see now we're up to like 90. So that's doing something, which I don't believe it was before. Those are starting to. You probably won't see that on YouTube. I will be amazed if that shows up on YouTube. But that is starting to have a bit of movement in it. It's not flickering or shimmering, but it's starting to wobble a bit. That maybe is a little bit. Maybe along here it is a little bit. I mean, native, it was shimmering up there somewhere. And it was obvious along there. And we're now at performance, which is kind of crazy. So, get ready to see the huge... Oh, no, hold on. We have a little run around because I was interested. This is still at DLSS performance. So, you can notice a few things start to kind of wobble a bit as you're moving around. But this is like, I wouldn't normally play at performance. You can see those stairs are actually okay. They're not doing too bad. Probably see these will start to wobble a little bit. Nothing crazy. The stairs are fine. The railings are probably doing a little bit of something. It's not bad. The woman in the hot tub, or Rowdy. Rowdy's having a great time. So that was it. Yeah, there's a little bit of flicker in there, isn't there? Is that other thing? Oh, that other thing's stopped now. So now we're going to go across to the Radeon GPU, so the 7900 XTX. You can see, obviously, now we've swapped over. So the first thing you will notice is the huge color change. It is now gone bright white. And this is the first video I looked at and I thought, holy shit, the AMD GPU is doing different colors. But then I realized that the time of day cycle, so you can see here where these shadows are down here on the AMD GPU, because I've come out of the game and then I've swapped computers over and I've loaded, so you can see the shadows are in a different place. So this part of the game, let me just pause. This part of the game is the only part of the game that has a day and night full cycle. So the sun comes up and the sun goes down over the hub. When you go to the actual other parts of the game, it stays the same. So, or I don't think I've gone to any other area on the map that has a daytime cycle. I'm not saying I am absolutely 100% sure, but I've never played a mission on the game where it's done a day and night cycle. I've only seen the day and night cycle on this map. And if I'm facing the other way, looking up at the mountain, you can play this game where it's night and then the sun will come up and it'll be really red. So obviously at some point the sun has changed its direction over this and it's got brighter or dimmer. So yeah, it's not a case of this is just drastically different, because this is like super white now compared to here. But unfortunately I didn't see I didn't look up at the sky to see kind of where the sun was. But anyway, so we're back on the AMD GPU and we are looking at native, which should look the same. So you've got flickering here, you've got flickering along here, you've got flickering down here, you've got some flickering up here, got a little bit there, a little bit there, bit down there. So a few little places where it's going. Obviously, as you can see, that's a native. We'll go to... Did I do a... I didn't do it. Yes, I did. I had a feeling that I was going to ignore it. So I've gone back to FSR AA, and you can see it's kind of probably very similar to what native AA is. You're still getting that flickering. It does look like it's sharpening the image, but I was running a sharper image, so I don't want to kind of attribute it to that. You can kind of see it's actually aliasing a little bit on the character. So there's quite a bit through here, there's quite a bit through here, a bit through here. We'll go to quality. I don't know if that makes it better or worse. No, that makes it, you can instantly see it's got a lot worse. So crazy flicker in there, crazy flicker in there, crazy flicker in there, there, all up around here. It's turned into like, it's starting to turn into a bit of a disco where there's quite a lot going on around there, kind of everywhere you're looking. The character is now a bit around his arm. You can see it around a few details. This isn't because it's running that one bit sharper. That wouldn't make it. It could attribute to the image looking a little bit sharper, but that's not suddenly just making everything alias. I wish I hadn't. It's one of those things. If someone really does chime in and say that's what caused it, then I'll spend tomorrow doing it again just to show you, because it's a pain in the ass that it's not exactly accurate, but you can see it now. It's just got worse. It's like, whoa, crazy stuff going on. The actual image itself now has got softer. The character's gone quite blurry. You can see there's a lot more aliasing on, but this image now at this level does look a lot softer. So I can't remember why. I've got a feeling 4 was actually normal. No, I can't remember. I'd have to go, but I'd have to go in the game and hit default to see if it should be at 3 or 4. I can't remember what it was. I think at default it might have been at 5, because it's a UE5 game, and UE5 games are generally over sharpened. So I do generally drop them. I don't know why I didn't drop the, or I don't know if I raised it for the AMD GPU, because when I was playing it looked a little bit blurry, or if I was just using, you can see like this stuff here now is going crazy. So this is on, I believe this is now on performance. Is that right? Yeah. So we're now on performance, and yeah, it's like a little bit of a disco going on. I would have expected it. Like I said, this isn't a huge thing. This was basically just a look through the upscalers, and then you can see now kind of on movement it goes quite blurry. So I think that might mean why. Whatever I was playing, I played most of this game actually on the AMD GPU. So this is like, these steps have gone very unstable, and on movement the image has just gone crazy blurry. So it's kind of you have to find a middle ground somewhere in between. This is like, you can see here now, like these steps are all going very kind of off. A very stark contrast to obviously what it looked like with DLSS balance. When you stop, it kind of resolves itself to a degree. Obviously there's no real sharp details in that picture there, and then obviously when we go back to that, you can see it slowly resharpens itself from the movement blur that it does. So oh god, we're getting to nearly 40 minutes. So side by side, this was when I'd realized that I was running, so these are now both set to 4. They're both on sharpness 4, because I looked back at this and I realized that one looked a little bit more different from the other, so I went into the game just to double check. So this is native, so we're not using any upscalers in this. This is just both side by side native, just to look at basically the colors and the upscalers, or the difference in textures and anything else, details, whatever else you want to see. Now, I'm not in the exact perfect place, so you can see that on this one, like here, the light is shining on me in a different place to what that one is, and you can kind of see here this is lit up, so it does look a slightly different color. If we go back to God, I'm gonna have to try and find them to line up. If that, they probably line up a little bit more, so they now look like, it's one of those things. They're not a different color, trust me. The colors look pretty much damn the same. It's just the case of, as I'm turning it, the light is, as you can see, if I go to like here, that one's now gone dark and that one's gone light, because the light's changing the way it's reflecting. They're pretty lined up there, so, well, almost. Is that pretty lined up? Nope. Stop. That's about the best I'm going to get. So, like I said, you can see here I'm still in a different area where there's more light shining on in that place. But red's a red, yellow's a yellow. I don't really know what else to say. There's kind of nothing really in it other than just a slight difference in the angle I'm at. So I can obviously make, you can see there how much it changes it by obviously the light shining on it. And then I can make that look lighter and I can make that one look darker. So when you kind of look at the red that doesn't really change that much, it's, people can think whatever they want to think. I know what I can think. Yeah. As far as details go, you can pixel peep as much as you want. I cannot find a difference in details. You can see all like the little dots and stuff. You can see all these little details. I kind of really did pixel peep to see if I could find anything, and I could not see a single kind of little dark texture that was missing anywhere. Nothing. You can see like these little things here. There is nothing that I could see personally different when you're looking at like obviously anything around here. Everything just looks the same. All of these little textures around here all looks exactly the same. Like I said, I'm not stood in the exact same place. I apologize for that. But you see like here, you see like these little kind of lines and stuff. That's obviously here. So you can see how far am I out, because this line here is almost touching his gun, whereas this one's up here. But you can see like all of these little lines exactly the same. Exactly the same. Everything is, to me, there is just no difference. There is no more pixels on this one. There's no bigger, fuller pixels. It doesn't have plumper pixels. Everything just looks the same. I'm going to leave it there because this has gone on for 42 goddamn minutes, which I didn't really want to happen, but there was quite a lot to go through. So, like I said, this one's probably a bit more, this one's kind of more accurate because this one has the display sharpness in the menu set to 4 on both of them. So yeah, you can kind of see they match up. They're both at native. They're both displaying the same game on the same monitor. And when I play them, they look identical to me. I don't plug in my AMD GPU and go, oh my God, the colors have just changed and I have more pixels. They look the same. And I think this shows that they look the same. Everything just looks the same. So there we go. I'm going to leave it there. And yeah, let me know. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I'm missing something that I'm not aware of. Maybe there is something. I thought that something would be so massive that it would jump out to me. It would be something that I could not possibly miss. I don't know what it is. I'm missing it. I've been told that I've just got... I've been told I'm colorblind. That's right. I was told I'm colorblind, which is interesting considering my job's color matching for a paint company. But I'm colorblind and I've got a bad monitor. So there we go. Let me know. I'm going to stop now. And if you liked, swing me a like. It does help me out. And I'll catch you in the next one.